Good morning, everybody. Call the meeting to order. I will begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory in the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. Our panel today is to my far left, Jeff Pesch, to my left, Randy Bure, and I'm Robert Buss. The assessor is Doug Strachan, and the recording secretary is Belhan Rowe. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Please be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decision. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be a part of the public record. If you would swear our assessment applicant in, please.
Please state your full name.
Strachan.
And you swear to be able to represent the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please state your full name.
Rocky Newcomb.
You affirm the ability to represent the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. We will begin with item number 4 on the docket, 365 Wellington Crescent, Unit 203. Mr. Strachan, if you could take us through it.
Just a preliminary issue. There's pending municipal board. I'm not sure when the order's coming through, but we discussed what's happening, and it's up to the appellant whether or not to accept the number at this point until the order comes in from the municipal board. It's going to, the municipal board orders are they very well going to have an effect on this assessment. So, but if you prefer, I can submit all the information or go through it all.
If you just read it into the roll, and then we'll ask Mr. Neufeld.
Roll number 0400114000. It's Unit 203, 365 Wellington Crescent. The 2020 assessment, $164,000.
Okay. Thank you. And Mr. Neufeld?
Yeah, for this property and for the next one on the docket number 5, they are both pending at the municipal board for the year of 2014, and the parties have agreed to bring those in as a first, call it test case on a legal basis, which was, should they be taxed or are they part of the common element because they're caretaker suites. So we are in agreement that we wanted to wait until that. So for today, we're happy to confirm this.
Very good.
We're not happy, but it's the best thing we can do.
You're a pretty happy guy. Very good. And then item number 5, if you would just read it into the roll for us, please.
So it's just confirmed. Yes.
Roll number 120225 34200, Suite 405, 330 Wellington Crescent, the 2020 assessment, $156,000.
Thank you very much. And
Request confirmation.
thank you very much.
May I be excused?
You are excused, Mr. Nicole. And that will bring us to item number 6, 203 Maryland Avenue.
Please state your full name.
Ryan Oliveros.
And you swear to represent the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Oliveros? Was your name Oliveros?
Oliveros.
Oliveros, thank you. Mr. Strachan, if you would,
Roll number 1209040600, 203 Maryland and West Broadway. It's approximately half a block south of Broadway. It's your heading south on Maryland. We have it recorded as a 2.5-story duplex. It was built in 1905. Certain upgrades over the years. We've applied a age variant of 1946. Record shows that there's a full basement, no development in the basement, a couple of washrooms. Lot size, just under 4,100 square feet. As you know, there's a bus route down Maryland, across the street, across the street, I believe it's an apartment block. We have the land allowance commercial adjacent, and because of Maryland being quite a route, we've applied the heavy traffic influence as well. The 2020 assessment, $231,000. The comparables I supplied are all in the either West Broadway or Wolseley neighborhood. I've tried to aim for the square footage, narrow it down as close as possible. I'll aim again for the 2.5 or 2-story properties. Multifamily conversions and a duplex. For sales comparisons, some of the properties have been renovated. You'll see a couple of them do have age variants, where comparable number 3 is the original age, 1945. Full basements, 2 of them have basement development. Washroom count, either 2 or 3, and comparables, 3 and 4 do have a garage. Lot sizes, 3,300 up to 4,200 square feet. The last 2, Westminster and Wolseley Street, there is a bus route traffic influence applied as well. Sale prices, our sale date you'll see May 2015 up to September 2017. The sale prices are time adjusted sale price is the 192,000 to 188,000. 2020 assessment for the subject property, 231,000. I feel that that's an equitable value and request to be maintained.
Thank you. Mr. Altamiro, would you like to have any questions?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Strachan, are you aware that the property is owned by Westminster Housing Society?
Yes, sir.
Are you aware that they rehabilitate these properties to make them only in livable condition, not of the highest quality finishes?
Yes, I'm aware.
And you're aware that then you would be aware that the houses are geared towards low income individuals?
Yes, I was aware of that.
Okay. Just looking at okay, no further questions.
Thank you. Anne has any questions?
You note that the subject property has a heavy traffic influence applied to it. Comparables 3 and 4 also have a heavy traffic influence.
Yes. Maryland has, as you're aware, more traffic.
Yes.
Quite a bit more traffic
That's why I'm
with
asking.
that road to Wellington or the River Heights district. There is a lot of traffic. The other two, Westminster, it is a feeder road as well, but I'll admit the traffic isn't anywhere near what Maryland has suffered from. Same thing with Wolseley. Traffic isn't the best comparison for Maryland, but this property, the Wolseley property, is on a corner lot, so it has a bit more traffic than traffic both sides on Wolseley and Evanston. So it does apply, but I agree none of the comparables suffer from the traffic as much as the subject.
And comparable number 3, the Wolseley property, I assume that's not on the river side of Wolseley.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. No other questions.
Thank you. Mr. Torrey, any questions?
Have you visited this property?
I haven't.
Oh, you haven't?
No. So you don't have to ask him. I have not been at any of the properties.
Okay.
These properties.
All right.
Within the last 20 years. Years ago, I did.
So you were saying the some of the comparables doesn't have any heavy traffic. Is there a big price adjustment if there's comparing to other comparables on this subject property?
Yeah, we have low, medium, and high traffic allowances. There is a value, a negative value placed. I don't have the numbers in front of me because we have a different rating for every neighborhood. For example, St. Boniface, Archibald, for example, it is high traffic, but the rates aren't always the same, the negative values applied. So we try and take it into consideration, narrow it down as close as possible. In this case, the Maryland property, the purchaser would be aware that there is heavy traffic, which is going to affect the sale price.
Do you know the percentage of the increase that particular area?
Offhand, I don't have the numbers in front of me.
No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. What's the difference between the duplex and the multifamily conversion?
Well, that's where I was going to suggest an inspection might be helpful. A duplex, say in Elmwood area, There is a lot of, say on Riverton Avenue, there's a lot of duplexes, separate entrance. The property is constructed that way. Two front doors, stairs up to the second. That's a true duplex. Comparable number one, a multifamily conversion. At one time, it was a 2.5, or it is a 2.5 story. It would have been originally a single family. Somebody did a conversion and possibly put in additional living area, or a lot of cases they put a third suite in the attic area. So that's for the multifamily conversion. Just looking at the photograph that was supplied, that's where the property would be suggested that an inspection occur, just to confirm that there's that it is, whether or not it is a duplex or a multifamily. With a single door at the front, kind of leans towards multifamily. So that's just a guess on my part, just with the picture.
So you're saying by the subject being coded as a duplex that it would have started off its life as a duplex?
Right. The property was built that way.
Okay.
Otherwise, converted at some point.
Okay. That's all my questions. Thank you. Mr. Oliveros, if you would like to take us through your information.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The subject property, 203 Maryland, roll number 12-090406000. On page 1 of my brief, it's just a summary of our presentation today. We're asking this board to reduce the assessed value for the subject property from $231,000 to $190,000. On page 2 of my brief is the description of the property. The subject building, it's a 2.5-story rental property owned by Westminster Housing Society. It's on Maryland Street, of course, between Broadway and Sarah Avenue in the West Broadway neighborhood of the city of Winnipeg. It has a total living area of 1,560 square feet and was built in 1905. The subject site, it's rectangular in shape, has an assessed land area of 4,098 square feet with RM/FM zoning, or residential multifamily zoning. Page 3, I've provided a further map that will show you some of the amenities surrounding the subject property. Page 4 is just a summary of my sorry, excuse me. Page 4 is just a summary of my comparables. I do have them on page 5 of my brief. The comparable sales, they indicate a time-adjusted sale price per square foot of approximately $112 to $129. The average time-adjusted sale price per square foot is $122.31, and the median is $126.36. So I've applied the same logic before with previous Westminster housing properties. They're rehabilitated to make them in livable condition, so they're not of the highest quality finishes. Westminster Housing Society, they purchase properties that have been boarded up, and again, they just rehabilitate them to make them livable for low-income individuals. So applying that same logic that I had before, for the subject property, I've applied a per square foot rate of $122 a square foot. That works up to $190,000 rounded. And just in addition here, I've provided photos of the comparable properties in the appendix, as well as a map of their locations on pages 8 to 11 of my brief. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See if Mr. Strachan has any questions.
The comparable properties, well, mainly comparable 2 and 3, are they rental units?
I believe these ones are, yes.
Okay. And you know the dwelling count in these properties, or are they single family?
I do not know the dwelling count, no.
Okay.
I know the properties I searched up on MLS, I did a filter for duplexes, and these ones came out as rental properties, so in the public remarks.
Okay. Is there a chance of finding more sales in that area? The West Broadway is 3 sales comparable. Limited to the West Broadway area?
So when I searched up the subject property, when I searched up the comparable sales, I think there's going to be a discrepancy because I know a lot of sales, and this is something I should have asked you, but I'm not sure. I do a search for what's been sold on the open market, so Matrix does have that. I know there might be some discrepancy between this and the sales books, and these are what I found were the best comparables for the subject that I was able to identify. As you can tell, though, I've placed most of my weight on, actually just a mix of them. 285 Yonge Street, I believe that has that property has had some renovations. Comparables 1 and 2, admittedly, they did not have any renovations done.
Okay. Were you able to inspect the subject property?
I have not, no.
Okay.
I've only visited one other Westminster housing property.
Okay. I have no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Murray, any questions?
Did you know the assessment roll in 2018 of this subject property?
I do not know.
And you're asking for 190,000 assessment for 2020. Is that correct?
For 2020, yes. That's because, again, I'm applying the same logic that I had before. Westminster Housing, lower quality rental property, lower quality finishes for the rental properties. So,
Okay.
which is why I went on the low end.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fish.
You had mentioned on a couple of occasions this notion of lower quality rental properties. You stated on page 4 of your brief it doesn't match the physical condition of the proposed value. And you also state that you haven't inspected it. How do we square that? I mean, you're going off of a reputation as opposed to...
Right.
Sorry.
Oh, no, sorry, continue your question. I'm just this.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how we square that.
So I've had I've exchanged multiple correspondence with SAM Management. They're the property managers, and they've stated exactly what I've said today, is that their properties are rehabilitated to make them only in livable condition.
Is there any way that you can describe the finish in the property?
No, other than what I've been told.
Have you been given any details about the finish other than the general statement?
No.
Thanks. No other questions.
Thank you. Do you know when the work was done, sort of updated, and even though the work was done at a certain level, do you know when it was, or if any has been done?
I don't have that with me today, but they have likely done some renos to make them in livable condition. I can't say as to when that was done, though.
Okay. That's all my questions. That will conclude item number 6. And we will move on to item number 7, which is 11 Alloway.
11 Alloway, 120902, 09000. is a 2.5-story property. We have it classified as a duplex. It's rather unique property. It was built in 2000, approximately 2,000 square feet. It is on a surface foundation. Good idea. The best neighborhood for the amount of shifting that does occur, causing foundation problems. 2 washrooms, lot size, just over 3,050 square feet. Commercial adjacent, that's one that is directly across the street. It is an apartment block directly across on the Alloy side. Comparables, all in the Wilson neighborhood. Arlington, Evanston, Lifton. Again, try and narrow it down. Comparable number 1 is a 2-story property. It has undergone some renovations. You'll see there's an age variant, as well as all the other properties. Much older, original year built 1913. Square footage, comparable to 4, similar square footage over 2,000 square feet, whereas the other ones are lower. They all do have basements. 3 out of 4 of them do have developments. Washroom count, you see 2, 3, and 4 do have additional washrooms. Comparable number 2, 4 washrooms. 3 out of the 4 of the properties do have detached garages. Lot size, 2,400 to 3,300 square feet. Comparable 1, it has Arlington just south of Portage, fairly busy as well. We've applied a bus route and traffic influence to the property. The subject property, since it's on Alloy, there's not a bus route. Traffic doesn't suffer from the Maryland traffic. We have it assessed at $429,000. Sale prices. The time adjusted sale price is $376,000 up to $447,000. Taking the age into consideration, take a look at that as well. The square footage, try and narrow it down. Comparable 1, you see the 1,566 square feet, whereas the subject is over 2,000 square feet, which brings us to the economy of scale. The sale price is lower. Time adjusted sale price is lower. So the properties, the sales I've supplied, we feel the assessment $429,000 is what it may have sold for equal 2018. Thank you.
Thank you. We see if Mr. Oliveros has any questions.
Yes. So just have a printout of the listings from Matrix. 51 Arlington and 273 Evanston. Were you able to find any listings on them at all, or on the MLS?
When we look for sales, we don't use the multiple listings. It's correct. Our records, information we get from land titles in our tracking system. The sales are recorded in our database, and that's how the sales are arrived at. Try and narrow it down with the square footage, features, neighborhood, etc. We don't go to Matrix to check the sales. We rely upon the information from land titles is accurate. If there's something fishy, seems very strange, we would attempt to do a sales verification, an inspection of the property if something does seem questionable.
So can you confirm if there were any special conditions with 51 Arlington or 273 Evanston at all, or?
Not that I'm aware of, other than they are multifamily properties. If I had the opportunity to inspect all the properties for every hearing, it'd be nice, but it's not feasible at this point.
The comparables 2 to 4 here, they all have a finished basement. Would you agree that that would require a downward adjustment to make it more like the subject property?
Yeah, we're aware of that. Without seeing the condition or the quality of the basement finish, somewhat difficult, but it is taken in our appraisal database, our records. It would be built into the regression model that those are taken into consideration. The difference here is because of this, the surface foundation for the subject. So it's obvious that we had to take that into consideration in the basement, actual full basement and basement finish. The issue with some of these properties, the ones built in 1911, very good chance it's stone foundation. Not the best basement finish in a lot of those homes I've seen over the years. It's not the highest quality. Could have been basement finished from many years ago with 4x8 paneling. Can't confirm that, but we did take it into consideration.
Want to confirm what's your for the subject property itself? You have it stated as 2 full baths. I have the residence details just downloaded from the city's website, from the client's online account. I have here that it's 1 full bath. You have 2 here. Was that just maybe updated?
Where was that information from?
It was on the residence detail. It's in my brief on the very last page, actually. We do download these details in June, so maybe something wasn't updated, but that's what we have.
Oh, I see what you mean. It's recorded in our database. It doesn't show in our database compared to what's shown on the website. Since we have it recorded as a duplex, we're saying that there's 1 washroom per suite or per unit.
Oh, okay.
But that's one thing that, glad you brought that to my attention. I can check that in the records as when I get back to the office. I agree with you, recorded as a duplex with 1 washroom, that doesn't quite meet living standards. So in our records we do have there's 2 full washrooms. Okay, but that's I'll look into that to confirm.
No further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Beret, any questions?
So, obviously you haven't visited this property, right?
Correct.
Yeah. But do you know the assessment roll on 2018 on this property?
I do not have the 2018 assessment.
So based on the applicant information, that there's only 1 full bath on this subject property, correct?
According to our records, there's 1 suite or 1 washroom per suite. Otherwise, we would have it recorded as a single-family property. Generally, shared washrooms doesn't meet the guidelines for a multifamily property. If one tenant locked the door in their washer or in their suite, the upper tenant wouldn't be able to access, so it's doesn't meet the standards. It would have to be minimum two washrooms.
Is this an infill?
Yes.
Okay. Not for your question.
Ash?
What value may be attributed to a full basement as well as a single detached garage, as is the case in 3-acre clubs?
In this area, as I mentioned, the stone foundation, a lot of cases are not the highest quality. A lot of unless there's been foundation replacement, but that doesn't occur too often. Value-wise, again, I don't have a spreadsheet with the various rates, but generally, this area would be classified as a low-quality basement finish, mainly because of the stone foundation. We found over the years we get comments from property owners with the trees that are 80 years old. They have fairly long roots, so it is affecting. I'm sure there's a lot of properties at this age do have water problems because found to be the age of the house, the stone foundation, as well as tree roots. There has been comments about that.
Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. And I think my questions have been asked, so we'll hear from Mr. Alavares on their information.
So the subject property, also owned by Westminster Housing Society, 11 Alloway Avenue, roll number 12-090-209-000. Page 1 is, again, just a summary of my presentation today. We're asking this board to reduce the assessed value from $429,000 to $340,000. The assessor has described the subject property accurately, so I'll skip over the property description. Pages 2 and 3 do have a map of the location of the subject property. Page 4, and that's just a summary of my comparable sales. Just reading through my brief here a little bit. Pages 9 to 19, I have photos as well as further maps of the locations of the comparable properties in relation to the subject. So observing the sales here, they have a time-adjusted sale price per square foot range of approximately $148 to $173 a square foot. Average time-adjusted sale price per square foot of the comparable sales is $164.97, and the median is $167.75. They are all located within the Wolseley area. So again, just apply the same logic. I did not inspect the subject property, but just given what my client just told me, I've applied a per square foot rate of $165 a square foot. That brought me to an assessed value of $340,000 rounded. I feel that's fair. Again, Westminster Housing Society, just based off of what my client had told me, they rehabilitate the properties to make them in livable conditions, and comparables 1 and 3 to 5 have had some work done to them. So I feel based off of that, the assessed value that I have stated is fair, and that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Strachan, do you have any questions?
You mentioned that you had been speaking to the property owner. Was there any mention that there was 2 suites in the property? Actual living quarters. We have it recorded as the duplex. But you mentioned the washroom count. I just wondered if he confirmed that there was 2 units in the property?
I haven't exchanged any correspondence with the client regarding this. We can probably sit together and maybe clarify on that later on, but I don't have that information with me today.
Okay. Has there been any renovations on the property lately?
None recently, no.
Okay.
That I'm aware of, at least.
Okay. No, that's fine. I have no other questions. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Pesh, any questions?
Just looking at all your comparables, are you able to comment on the effective age?
I haven't established an effective age with them. 524 Clifton Street, I know that one was fully renovated. But I can't provide any comments on the effective age, so I didn't go that far into it. I have though observed the photos on the multiple listing service, and I can say that, for example, 524 Clifton, and it does have some nice finishes from what I remember seeing. So.
And just to confirm that this was built, it's a new build in 2000.
It's a new build in 2000, correct.
No other questions?
Thank you. Mr. Verret, any questions?
Do you know how much is the rental of the property?
I do not know.
You don't know how much income they are receiving. Okay. And are you aware of the 2018 assessment roll?
I am not, no. I don't believe for any of the the properties on the docket today. I'm not aware of I'm not aware of the 2018 assessments.
So do you believe that the subject property did not increase in value in the last couple of years?
Well, I believe this is the first time. This is the first time I've looked into this property. This value is my opinion of what it should be as of the reference date.
Okay, no further questions.
Thank you. How about the location? Alloway is a side street, kind of quiet street, but the assessor had stated that there's an apartment across the street.
Right.
Would you say this is a good location?
I would say 524 Clifton Street, 215 Walnut, or Walnut Street and Clifton Street. Sorry, I should say that those locations are superior in that sense. Just looking at the map here. Ruby Street, Walnut Street, which is variable 5. Yeah, I would say I've driven around the Wolsey area. The further east you get into the Wolsey area, in my opinion, the better your location is. The farther west you go in the Wolsey area, the better your location is. That's just my opinion regarding it.
Okay, so you've driven by this property.
I haven't driven by this property. I believe I had a property before 762 Broadway that was in the Wolsey area, and I've had a few apartments in there. So I've had to drive around the Wolsey area quite a few times. Alley Avenue, I don't remember going down that street.
Did the Westminster Housing Society build this house?
I would assume that they did. I would assume that they would have done so. I can't confirm that.
And they, so both suites are rented out. It's not over-occupied by because Westminster Housing owns it.
Was valuing as a single-family residential, but I haven't confirmed if there are 2 units in it.
Is the surface foundation a negative as far as you're concerned? Negative feature?
Given what Mr. Strachan said with the older trees in the lot, this is where my experience is sort of limited in this industry. I would go with what Mr. Strachan said. I guess it's a subjective point. If you require a basement for the rental units at all, maybe if you're owning a single-family residential, given the age of the trees, you wouldn't. Maybe you wouldn't prefer a basement.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions. We will move on to item number 8, 277 Waterloo Street.
Roll number 12050028000277 Waterloo. We're in North River Heights. This property, I had a co-worker to take a drive just to do an exterior inspection. He felt that the property, just by the appearance anyway, decent condition, didn't appear to be any exterior structural issues. He said the place had been shoveled, sidewalks cleared, so it is, to the best of our knowledge, it is occupied. It's a one-story, built in 1927, just under 1,000 square feet. It's got the full basement, washroom count, 1, and has a fireplace. He mentioned that the detached garage was sizable. I believe it was taking up a decent part of the backyard. 4,800 square feet. We have applied the light traffic influence to the property due to the location. It's right at the corner of Waterloo and Kingsway. Kingsway does have traffic, so we have taken that into consideration. All the comparables, North River Heights, I narrowed it down pretty close, 1927 to 1930, so within a 3-year range, similar square footage, all of them under 1,000 square feet. All of the properties do have basement finish, washroom count, 1 or 2, central air, a couple of properties. Wouldn't surprise me, some of these, the comparables do have hot water and heat. A couple of properties, fireplaces. All the comparables do have detached garages. Lot sizes, 38 to 4,800 square feet. The subject, same thing, 4,800 square feet, and that area was pretty standard. That far back, sale prices, unadjusted sale prices, they're all in the 300 mark, 305 to 369. We have an assessed for 2020, 324,000, and it appears that the one thing that we did take into consideration was the Kingsway. It is busier than over the past few years. Kingsway has become more traffic. We did take that into consideration. So we find the 324 is an accurate value. Thank you.
Thank you. See if Mr. Alvarez has any questions.
Yes, Mr. Strachan, are you aware that the property sold on July 9th, 2017 for $256,500? I know on the listing it said $260,000. I did clarify that with my client. There was encroachment above that affected the property, and they applied that adjustment for it. Just wondering if you're aware of that sale.
It did not show up on our database on the sales history, and I can't confirm that it was a bona fide sale. Possibly, if it was a multiple listing, very good chance it was on the open market. Assuming there's no association between the purchaser, the vendor and the purchaser.
Okay. No further questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Beret, any questions?
You haven't visited this property?
Correct. It was just a coworker that took those on Monday.
So based on the information that you had, since you haven't visited the property, the $324,000 is, you think it's the right value for this subject property at this 2020?
Compared, like I mentioned, I try and narrow it down pretty close within a 3-year range, square footage. They're very comparable. Regression model, some of the, you see a sale, one of the sales is lower than what the current assessment is. Comparable number 3, it's time adjusted $305,000. I'm aware that there is sales. I try and play it fair as possible. There's sales lower, there's some higher, but we feel that the 2020 assessment does fit into that range. I very well could have searched for sales all about the assessment. I don't find that fair. That's why I do show a range of sales.
What would be the percentage you think? Because most of the comparables has basement finish, and the subject property has not.
Basement finish-wise, based on the square footage of the property, I can't estimate the. I apologize. I can't give you. I don't have the information to give you a rate per square foot for the basement finish.
And you're not aware that the subject property was sold for $256,000?
It was. Now that I recall, I thought back in the office that a sale did occur. That's why I was kind of hesitant there. It should be on the sales history. That I can't.
And it wasn't there.
I can't give it. Yeah, I was aware that there was a sale, to the best of my memory. But again, I'm surprised it isn't showing on the comparable sheet.
Okay, no further questions.
Mr. Pesh?
My questions have been answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I am questionless at this time. So we'll hear from you, Mr. Oliveiros, please.
So subject property, 277 Waterloo Street, roll number 12-0500280000. Page 1, it all follows the same logic as my previous briefs. We're asking the board to reduce the assessed value from $324,000 to $256,500 to what the sale price was as of July 9th, 2017. I did notice, property description first, I apologize. It's a one-story single-family residence. It's located on the northwest corner of Waterloo Avenue and Kingsway in the North River Heights neighborhood of the city of Winnipeg. The property has a total living area of 965 square feet, built in 1927. It has an assessed land area of 4,820 square feet with R1M residential zoning. So again, on page 3, we're asking this board to reduce the assessed value from $324,000 to $256,500. So just some notes regarding the sale itself. I've included the emails that we have exchanged with our client on pages 6 to 8 of my brief. He did buy it with the intention of demolishing the home, but right now he's just using it as a rental property. What they're trying to do in the background until that happens, I'm not aware of. He also says that the interior requires significant renovations. I haven't inspected the subject property myself. That's the same thing for the rest of the properties on the docket today. I also did notice that there was a discrepancy on Sabre as compared to MLS. On MLS, it showed as $260,000, and on Sabre, on land title, sorry, it stated the sale price as $256,500. I did question my client regarding this. He says it is because there's encroachment on the property that the seller did not disclose, so they asked to have a $3,500 adjustment regarding that. And with that being said, one sale does not make the market. I do understand that as well. So on page 5, I've provided 5 comparable sales here. Not taking anything away from the assessor, from Mr. Strachan. Mr. Strachan, I do appreciate that. You look to all ranges, but just to show that for this property in particular, that it is possible that it's a sale price of $256,500 is reliable as an assessed value for this property. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see if Mr. Strachan has any questions.
You mentioned that the property owner purchased the property with the intent to demolish. Was it a land investment? Was it a vacant land value that he paid for the property? Just curious if he had intended to demolish immediately after purchase?
Right, so on page 6, he said his original intent was to demolish the home to build something for him and his wife. So they were just going to just put a new build on there and infill. That is what I'm aware of. I didn't question him on if he still plans on demolishing it, or if he still wants to continue using it as a rental property. He says, though, in the next 18 months, on page 7, if he doesn't demolish it within the next 18 months, that's from January 13th of 2020. That's going to need some improvements. So I don't know what their outlook is on that. They're probably maybe saving up money just to demolish them and build a new one. So.
Okay. On page 6, the email, the owner wrote, assessed value 324, I believe, at least 50,000 too high. 50,000 brings it to 274,000. How did he arrive at that $50,000 overpayment or assessment value?
I'm assuming he just looked at his sale price, and it was probably just a rounded guess as to what he believed the assessed value should be.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it was a rental. Do you know what the rent is on the property?
I do not know.
Okay. I have no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you. See, Mr. Beret, any questions?
Have you seen this property?
No, I haven't inspected this property or any of these or any of the remaining properties on the docket.
So the subject property was bought by the same person. I think it was sold for $260, and then there's a discrepancy of $3,500.
Yes, so on MLS it shows as $260,000. That was the sale price because that was sale price date on MLS because the seller did not disclose to my client, the buyer, of the encroachment. So after my client discovered that there was an encroachment on the property, he asked to have He asked for a credit of 3,500.
Okay.
Right. And sorry, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No further questions.
Okay, thank you. Cash, any questions?
Were you able to pull up the MLS listing?
I did. There was nothing peculiar about it. This is unfortunately I didn't bring it with me today, though.
But you saw the MLS listing?
I did see the MLS listing, yes.
And then, are you aware of any improvements made since the time of purchase?
I believe just some fire alarm detectors were installed and no significant improvements since then.
Great, thank you. No other questions?
Okay, thank you. And your comparables on page 5. Your 5 comparables are sort of.
And so it says city there. Those are not their comparables. I just forgot to delete those from when I printed those out.
I missed that. How is that?
Well, just on the top column it says comp number 1 city, comp number 2 city. Those aren't the city's comparables. Those are just my comparables.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just a template that we use.
So you have time adjusted sale prices. How do you time adjust them? Did you do those adjustments yourself, or is this information from the city?
This is information from the city. Yeah, that comment on the time adjustments near the bottom of the chart there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's not accurate. I get all my time adjustments from the city's sales books.
Okay. So your time adjusted sale price are a little around $300, slightly over $300 a square foot. Mm-hmm. And the assessors, I believe, are a little bit higher, almost $350 a square foot. So the sale price, do we know what that is per square foot?
The sale price works out to $265 a square foot.
So you're asking for basically for lesser value than most of your comparisons.
I am, yes.
Okay. Based on condition, on sale price.
Sale price condition, exactly. As far as I know, the comparables are not teardowns. Or sorry, I shouldn't say that. Because my client purchased it with the intent to tear it down, I just speculated on that and I just went with the sale price.
It would be your opinion, I guess, that the house hasn't had a lot of work done to it.
Sorry?
The house hasn't had a lot of work done to it.
That's my knowledge, no.
It's not, if it's being rented out, it's probably not it's above a tear down stage, but it's not been highly maintained. How's that?
I would agree with that statement.
Okay. That's all my questions. Thank you. So that will conclude item number 8. Item number 9 is off the docket. We will go to 80 Snow Street, item number 10.
Okay. 80 Snow Street, phone number 03-0913-444. Sorry. Item 10, the last, read the wrong roll number, 0309134430. Amy Snow is a condominium complex. I'm just going to supply just another photo to give you a better idea. but maybe they're just have a picture just to see. So, this is a condo complex. There's two details of photos. It is a large rectangular lot at the corner of Snow, and just on the south side of the complex is the stadium, football stadium, the other sports university fields to the south as well. So there's currently two structures on the property. The part we're looking at is vacant land on the east side of the complex. Both of the roll numbers we're looking at today make up that vacant land area. The going to the sales, I don't know if I supplied a few pages on the declaration. Declaration for the property. So it kind of gives the very okay. So in the declaration, maybe if you go to the the last page. The last two strips along there, bare land, 62 bare land unit, 63 bare land unit. In the, you see that they both are the percentage in the common elements just under 19%. So we're looking strictly at that vacant land. There's not a defined breakdown of where those two lots are in that vacant piece of land. It's just the two roll numbers were created because each of those vacant land units are within the declaration, showing that they're made up of approximately 19% of the elements. So we had to create two separate roll numbers for the vacant land. So the first one, subject for both of the properties involved, the next roll number, just under 32,000 square square foot lot, less than an acre. We have it assessed as vacant commercial land. It is zoned multifamily as a result of the condo that's already in existence. I had to take a look at sales, vacant land sales, vacant, you see I use vacant residential to multifamily zoning properties that have sold. The properties are reasonably close. The comparables 1 through 5, it's either Fort Richmond or Fairfield. To find sales within Montcalm was difficult. There's very few sales of vacant, or I was actually unable to find vacant land sales in that Montcalm area. So the comparables, square footage, it's quite a range from 15,000 up to 425,000. Comparables 1 and 2, on the map I supplied, they were vacant lots for a number of years. We actually had them classified as agricultural land. The zoning had never changed. There's currently I kind of took a look at what's going to be developed or has already been developed on these comparables. Comparable number 2, there's already, it was purchased for development. There's already a condominium complex constructed. The 701, comparable number 1, there's nothing constructed at this point, but it is being rezoned for multifamily. The property, 2 of the other properties do have condo complexes, comparable 3 and 4. There has been development. Comparable number 5, Lee Boulevard. I believe that one does have a condo complex already constructed. So I took a look at, it appeared that the sales occurred as a result of a buyer wanting to develop it for future plans, and most cases there has been development on these vacant land sales. The sales had to go back to 2012. Their sale closest to the reference date is comparable for May 2014. The rates per square foot, sale price per square foot, range from $13 up to $28 a square foot. A time adjustment was not applied to the properties. I'm showing the actual sale prices that did occur. Again, I didn't apply a time adjusted sale price. So we feel the assessment, $498,000, is worth approximately just under $16 a square foot. It is vacant land on the condominium complex. There is, on the declaration, you see it does, the 2 lots are just under 19% of the common interest. On the second page of the declaration that I supplied, highlighted in pink, regarding the sale, complete property or any part of the common elements may be sold if authorized by owners. So a large number of the owners of the units within the complex, if they all agreed, or a good high percentage, agreed to sell the properties, it would be possible. So that's why I had to take a look at comparable land sales based on trying to narrow down as close as possible. But in some cases, possibly in declarations where there's no mention of selling any of the properties, they wouldn't be able to, other complexes wouldn't be able to sell the vacant land. But in this case, it's directly in the declaration showing that any part can be sold. So that's where the vacant land sales came into consideration. Based on the sales, $15 square foot, $15.59 square foot, $498,000 is our estimate of what 19% of the common elements may sell for, which would account for approximately 32,000 square feet of the vacant land that does exist. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Oliveros, any questions?
I do. Would you say that the condominium development itself, would you say it's in an ideal location? It's across from Victoria Hospital, Investors Europe Field. I would imagine that there's a lot of noise there. I mean, that might be up to the quality of the finishes, but I guess developing that land, would you say that the location is ideal?
For me, I like sports. I go to Bombers games. I go to the doctor Victoria Hospital's nearby, and get to that age where you make more trips to the doctor's office, so they wouldn't have to carry me too far. But this complex, I didn't look into it, but it wouldn't surprise me a lot of the units are rentals, being so close to the U of M. To some people, it might be a deterrent to those people who wanted a quiet neighborhood. I could see that being a deterrent, but in other cases, some people would be an attraction. So that I can't comment on. There's a variety of purchasers, potential purchasers, I'm sure would take both of those, all the items into consideration.
And you said all your comparables, they are in the process of development?
Yeah, comparable to the smaller lot, I drove by it a couple weeks ago. There's something occurring that I can't confirm that there's if it's an apartment going up or possibly a condominium, but it has been rezoned. As I mentioned, at the time of the sale, it was zoned as agricultural, but rezoning has occurred.
Which one is that?
Comparable, the larger lot, the small lot, 701, comparable number 1. Okay. Street name, I'll let you pronounce it. But it is still vacant. Comparable number 2, it's a fairly large complex. I think it's about a 4-story complex that has been operated. So somebody in this case, similar situation, square footage, traffic on, it's right at the corner of that street. It is fairly busy. Traffic along that strip is pretty good. So it's, obviously the investor had an idea that it was worth approximately $19 a square foot to put up a complex. So it's, may offset what does occur with the subject property. As the appellant mentioned, the sports, the complex is nearby. Somebody might take traffic into consideration, but others may not. So it's, whoever the purchaser was felt that it was a good investment.
No further questions.
Questions?
10 minutes.
Everybody ready?
So is there a building right now on that vacant land?
For the subject?
Yeah.
No. It's just
a vacant land.
It's a vacant land to the east side of the. It was put into these various phases along the way. First 2 phases were the structures that do exist, and the idea at one point was for phase 3, but that hasn't occurred as of yet.
And you were saying that the subject property has a land influence of the golf course, but the golf course moved to another place, right?
Yeah.
And
So, yeah, it's not golf course. That probably should be park area at this point.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm thinking maybe we should bump that number upwards. But some people may have thought a golf course was dangerous. I'm not sure, but I'll have that corrected.
Okay, no further questions.
Okay. And this vacant land doesn't just get tossed in with the common element,
Yeah, it is, like I mentioned, it's in the...
but there's value added for it?
Value, no, there isn't a value. It would have to be the agreement of the occupants plus the condominium corporation, come to an agreement to actually sell it without that decision made at the...
But what if they put a swimming pool on it?
Right.
Put some swings and some slides for the kids? Would it become part of the just get rolled in with the condo value?
No, it would stay as each of the vacant land areas still be a part of the complex, but usage
Still be valued separately?
Yeah, there'd still be a separate roll number, because for this property, there's 60 units, so that there's 60 separate titles of, I believe there's 30 or 35 units within the existing complexes. So it's, I could supply all 60 roll numbers, but again, because this is the vacant land, there is separate roll numbers for each of them.
Yeah, I understand it's a separate roll numbers, but I'm thinking like lots of condominiums have an area behind, more parking maybe, or a swimming pool on it or something like that, and the value just gets absorbed by all the other units. But in this case, there's...
Yeah, the declaration was approximately 50 pages,
Yeah.
so I didn't print it all out.
No, that's okay. Then they could sell it if they had a swimming pool on it.
Yeah, without a decent percentage of current owners, it might take a while for the property owners to agree to actually selling that, but if their reserve funds are pretty low, you never know, they might come up with the idea instead of busting up their condo fees, sell that land and apply it to the reserve fund. That's a guess.
Thank you. That's all my
Sorry,
part.
Robert, I have another question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you know the assessed value of the 2018 of this vacant land?
You know, offhand,
No.
I didn't bring the numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Oliveras?
Okay, so the subject property, 80 Snow Street, I'll be addressing both roles here actually. We have numbers
11.
Oh, no, a second. It's going to present both.
10.
Information for both as well.
Well, we will hear both separately, but
It's the same argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely. So once we've heard the first one, the second one will go quite easily.
Okay, so roll number 03-0913443300. On page 2, it's just a summary of, again, my presentation. We're asking the board to reduce the assessed value from $498,000 to $399,000. Page 3, for the second property description. The lands, from my understanding, were leftover lands from 2 prior phases of the condominium development. It lies on the northwest side of the University of Manitoba's outdoor sports facilities. It's east of Investors Group Field, and the Victoria Hospital lies to the west of the subject land. I was informed by the assessment department that the subject property measures 31,951 square feet. The comparable sales I've provided on page 4, I realize they're quite a bit larger there. They indicate a sale price per square foot range of $7.55 a square foot to $17.08 a square foot. The average sale price per square foot is $13.20, and the median is $13.79 per square foot. So we're suggesting a value of no more than $12.50 per square foot be applied to the subject lands. Just with conversations from others at the office, from what I've read in the 2016 brief that I have here with me today, the board did confirm the assessment. So just based off of that, it's my opinion right now that the subject land is inferior to the comparable sales that I've presented today. The comparable sales, I've provided photos and maps, observations of them on pages 8 to 21 of my brief. There's some commentary in the captions. For example, on page 6, undeveloped land, no services with residential surroundings. I tried to take the same approach that Mr. Strachan did, and that was to sort of identify lands that were poised for development. Some of them were, and that's all within the commentary. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Let's see if Mr. Strachan has any questions.
Taking a look at the subject property is approximately 32,000 square feet. On your list, sales listing comparables, the based on square footage, which would be the best comparable?
It would be 140 Eaglewood, but that, again, I'm seeing it as inferior, so that's why I've applied the $12.50 a square foot. In that sense, just again looking at everything as a whole.
Okay. And has development occurred on the comparables at all?
Not to my knowledge. I believe they're still waiting on the outlook with the supply of condominium complexes within Winnipeg right now. They're just waiting on that. I think they were aiming for a parking lot at one time as well, but yeah, they're just waiting on the outlook on how condo sales are going to be going, how condo sales are going to be going forward.
Referring to number 8, you're referring to number 8?
That was just a general question, I believe, right?
Okay.
Mr. Strachan?
Yeah, it was comparable number 8 that I was...
Oh, okay, sorry, maybe I'm confused. Can you...
No, it was just, I was wondering which was the best comparable.
Oh.
Yes, and then you would ask if there was development.
I understand.
Yeah, it was whether or not...
Number 8 hasn't been developed yet. Was that the question?
Well, for all of them, I was just curious what's occurring with these sales.
Sorry.
But, no, I see you supplied some photographs.
I didn't have the commentary to that one. Yeah, there's multifamily development happening there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have no other questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Vure, any questions?
And you're asking for $399 for this?
$399, yes. The client felt it was a bit high, so.
Do you have any idea on the 2018 assessment on the value of the land?
I do not know. I have, I believe, 2016 here. There was an agreement though, so with respect to the assessment department, Mr. Strachan, I know these are agreements, so run this by you if that's okay to mention to the board today.
What year was the deal?
2016 here.
Yeah, that's fine. It's
Agreements on the
public
subject
information.
properties?
Yeah, agreements on the subject properties.
Oh, okay, do you know the value of in 2016?
I know the values of 2016, yes, if
Okay.
you wanted to hear those ones.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Sorry, just gonna shuffle through. It was 300 and... Let's see, fourth floor. $380,000.
380?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Just one question. Was that the 2016 roll? assessment appeal?
That was the 2016 roll assessment appeal.
Okay, and what's the reference date for that roll?
April 1st, 2014 would be.
Okay.
The reference date.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I see, Mr. Oliveros, that most of your comparables really have a high assessed value. What would you say, and the other two comparables is zoned as agricultural and a residential one. Is there any other comparables that you can give us that it would be much easier to make a decision?
Not at this time, no.
No. Okay. No further question, Howard.
Thank you. Mr. Pesh?
I would agree with you that your comparable number 8 is likely your best comparable just based on the actual land sizes. So what is it then about the assessor's comparables that you disagree with, and that when I look at his land areas, they're much more consistent with the subject property?
Yeah, I can't really contest the assessors comparables at all.
Yeah, he doesn't have to really answer for the assessors, but
I get it.
That's more about his.
I get it. And I have no other questions.
Okay. I have no questions either. That will conclude.
Can I just make one comment?
Yes.
The sales I supplied are pretty close to the subject property. Some of the comparables supplied by the appellant, Waverly West, South Point, Bridgewater Trails. Distance-wise, I find that somewhat quite a distance. I tried to narrow it down to the neighborhood as close as possible. That could be taken into consideration. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And any last words?
No, thank you.
Okay, and we will deal with number 11, and then we'll take a short break. How is that?
Yeah.
Roll number 0309134440. Same thing, vacant condominium, 32,000 square feet. I'd be repeating exactly the same information.
Okay, the sizes are similar in size? Similar in size?
Exactly.
Exactly the same size.
The 19% common element.
Okay, we'll see if there's any questions on.
I do not know.
Do you have anything you'd like to add about this one?
No, there's not. Thank you.
And we work through it. Any questions? Okay, well that will conclude number 11, and then we'll take a short break. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order, and we will begin with item number 12, 90 Keslar Road, Unit 71.
Okay, roll number 030914599900 7199 Kessler Road, in the Fairfield area. Complex is built in 2011. Total square footage 1551 for the property. 2 bedrooms. There's basement finish. Variety of washroom. One 3-piece and 2-piece washrooms. Balcony, attached garage. So all the comparables are in the Kessler, at 99 Kessler. Very much the same features. Square footage 1551, that was the standard units. 2 bedroom, 3 out of 4 do have basement finish. Washroom counts vary somewhat. Otherwise, all the features are same patio, attached garages. Current assessment, $372,000. Just under $240 a square foot. All the comparables, again, same thing. Same features, sale price, time adjusted sale price, rate per square foot, 240 to 243. The subject property, 239, just under $240 a square foot, fits perfectly into the sales that have occurred, the time adjusted sales. So even looking at the actual sale prices, no time adjustments applied. You'll see it's $233 to $236 a square foot. So it's feel that the sales that's applied is pretty accurate and very comparable. So I request that the 2020 assessment be maintained. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, sorry, the split photo, or aerial.
Yes. Thank you. We'll see if Mr. Oliveras has any questions.
I guess I'm just a little curious because there were sales that sort of fell in the lower range. That's in my brief. Did I mark the page there? Page 5. Did you consider? I'm assuming that all sales would have been considered. There's quite a number of them at 1,551 square feet. I'm just wondering if you considered the ones that were included in my brief as well.
Sorry,
Well, we'll have to wait till you're submitted. I
Yeah,
guess.
that's fine. Okay. No further questions, though.
Okay, see the panel, Mr. Pesh, any
I
questions?
have none at this time.
Mr. Murray?
Do you know have you visited this place?
I went into the
No. Do you know the 2018 assessment roll of this property?
I do not.
You don't know. Seems you have a really good comparables on the subject property, so yeah, I have no further questions.
Okay. So these are attached, 2 units attached to each other? Is that what kind of a complex?
Yeah, it's a row housing type of complex.
Townhouses.
I admit I've never been to the property.
By the look of your comparables, the comparable number 2 is the one without basement finish, but it doesn't vary much. It doesn't look like basement finish adds a lot of value in this complex.
Yeah, it's...
That's all this stuff. Anyway, I don't have any other questions. Oh, I have a question on your picture on page, the last page. Do you know what that complex is to the south of that big building? Is it a community center or?
that is it's a
Religious
church.
church, yeah.
Church.
Oh, okay.
Something
Lee
religious
Boulevard.
organization.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions. Mr. Oliveras, if you'd like to take us through your information.
Subject property, Unit 71-99, Kesla Road, roll number 03-0914, 59900. The assessor has accurately described the property today. I provided further maps on page 2. The subject property, it's circled in red there.
Yes.
Yeah. Page 3 is just further maps. Try to zoom in as much as possible to try to catch the amenities around the area. page 4 is just a summary of my comparable sales. So, before I start going through my comparable sales, I'm not of the opinion that condo sales are going up in value. I've made the argument before where there's such an oversupply right now of condominiums that I don't think an increase in the assessed values are supported, or I shouldn't say an increase, but larger increases would be supported. So I don't have the 2019 with me today, but I know there was a significant increase which triggered the appeal for this property. So with that said, my comparable sales is on page 5. I don't think I actually marked it off there. Hopefully you're able to identify it though.
Yes.
All 1,551 square feet with basement finish. Comparables 3 and 5 do not have basement finish. So based off of these sales, I have applied a per square foot rate. I went the median here, which is $227.60 a square foot. That is rounded to $353,000, and that is what we are requesting the assessed value be reduced to today. On page 6, I just did an update per square foot rate. It is $227.60 a square foot.
Okay. Thank you. We'll see if Mr. Strachan has any questions.
On the sales comparisons, comparable number 3, for example, the sale price $365,000. Sale price, the 2020 assessment, is that your calculation or?
Oh no, sorry. So I'm going with the sale prices per square foot. The 2020 assessments, I just put that there for my reference.
Okay, I understand. I thought you were making adjustments or?
No.
Okay. I have no other questions. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Beret, any questions?
Have you visited the property?
I have not, no.
So you don't know if there's any renovation or anything like that?
None that I'm aware of.
No reno?
None that I'm aware of.
Oh, okay. And you're asking for $353,000 for the assessed value for 2020.
That's
Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fesh?
My questions have been answered.
Okay. I see you've got end unit, interior unit. Which is the subject? Is it an end unit or interior unit?
Interior unit.
Which is the most desirable, interiors or end units, or is there any difference?
End unit, you might have more of a view looking outside, but I guess it depends on where you are within this development. The subject property itself, you might be able to get a good view of the retention pond there. Yeah, it's really subjective because these interior units on the east side of the property, those may be considered more desirable just because you have a view of the retention pond.
Yes.
It's all subjective. I can't comment as to what one would prefer. Myself, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind living. I wouldn't mind living in the units that back onto the retention pond. Get a bit more privacy in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the subject would be in a pretty reasonably average or above average location in this development.
I would say so. above average. And sorry, my eyes kind of tricked me there. It is actually an end unit, not an interior unit.
Okay.
Interior unit.
Yeah. Okay. Did you have a question? Did you say?
Yeah, I've noticed that on your number 2, it's on you circled the subject property.
Page 2, yes.
Yeah, but on the assessor, the subject property is in the middle. Which one?
I think that's just where that kind of arrow shows up. I don't think.
You know that? This is over here.
I see. It's just because there's that little gray part there.
The red,
Yeah.
Big red.
So,
yeah, it's just to show.
you're not sure if it's
No,
there.
that's
or-
what the unit we're talking about is at the very south end of the,
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure because
yeah, the red,
I'm sure there's an impact on the price on this. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all my question.
Yeah, I think the red there, I pulled that up before. When you search up any unit here, it just kind of zeroes in right down the middle.
Okay, thank you.
That's all my questions as well. So that will conclude number 12. We will move on to number 13, which is 270 Roslyn Road, number 17, Unit 17.
okay, roll number 12032640600. This 270 Roslyn, there's very few sales that occur in the complex itself. That's why I supplied, there's older sales, but I supplied, only able to supply 2 sales that were close to the reference date. The subject 17, suite unit 17. Property is built 1967. 3-bedroom, couple washrooms. All the properties do have balconies or closed, one or the other closed verandas. 290,000. Sales history, you see 2016, 256,000. The comparables, I supplied units 4 and unit 7. Same features right through, 1,045 square feet. December 2017, August 2017, both of them sold for 300,000. So, aerial photo, you see where the units are located. They're all internal suites. So I took a look at the sales for both of the comparable sales. The purchases were made by the same person who purchased the subject property. So it kind of, as I mentioned, the sales occurred in the 2017 range. So it kind of leads me to believe that basically it was the owner, the same owner that purchased 2 other units within the complex, paying $300,000. He paid less in this case back in 2016 for a lower price than what he paid in the late 2017 sales, which kind of tells us that the market, he felt they were worth more over that period. Paying $300,000, we feel that the assessment of $290,000 fits right into what the owner paid for the very similar units. It kind of goes to my thought that it's the owner bringing the supplying evidence for an accurate number for us to use 290,000. It's the purchasers, it's the sales from the same investor. Pay 300. We feel that the 290 is an accurate value. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Oliveras, if you have any questions, you're welcome to it.
Yeah, no questions.
Questions? Okay, we'll see how the members do. Mr. Beret, any questions?
Do you know the increase of the value of the condos in that area?
Sorry, which?
The increase of value, like what's the percentage of increase?
I could come up, or we could come up with an average. In this area, the rates vary a lot. Some complexes, say number 1 Wellington Crescent, their percent increase different than 330 Wellington. There's quite a range location, especially the Riverview. The average, I couldn't come up with an average value, but
3, 4, 5%, or
some of them are substantially higher. That could be a figure to take into consideration, but without reviewing the stats on every complex in the Wellington area, I can't supply the information at this
isn't that the city has a map of all the areas in Winnipeg that has an increase?
Average.
Average.
The word average varies the numbers substantially. It's I shouldn't say I find it just information for the public. Taking a very large number of properties that have sold, averaging, it's very difficult to, personally I would use a median, not so much the average. And I don't have that map with me.
And obviously you haven't visited this subject property, right?
Yes. Condominiums, I generally try and stay at the same complex. In this case, sales were, they don't happen.
They don't happen very much.
No. I've been to the property next door. They got beautiful views of the river. Not that this is the river, but sit out in the patio and let the sunroom out. Yeah, it's a nice looking property. It's never been in any of the suites, but.
So the subject property was sold in 2016 for $256,000.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know the assessment roll for 2018?
I do not.
You do not. Okay. No further questions.
Pesh, any questions?
So just to be clear, there were no other sales within a reasonable time frame?
Those older sales, but quite always. I think it's just lack of sales. I think it is a nice looking place, so I'm not sure how many sales the appellant supplied, but it was difficult, so I could have went nearby condos, but I felt, especially it's a unique property complex, so that's why I stuck to that. Even though there was only 2 sales to supply, that's what I adhere to, and
That's the best thing.
especially when it's the same owner. When it was the appellant and the purchasers of the other 2 units are the same party. So.
Right. And I'm not familiar with this structure. Units 4, 7, 17, they all have the same view? They're all in one level and the same view?
Yes, both ways.
Both ways.
Yes, they can be on their patio or sunroom. watching the river, or go at the other end, you can watch the parking lot. They're very uniform.
And do we know if all of these units would have equal access to parking?
That I can't confirm.
Okay, no other questions? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, sorry, do you mind if I ask a question as long as it's okay with the assessor? I know I'm coming in late here, so.
Go ahead.
Okay. Just units number 7 and 4, they don't have the obstruction of just the condominium building in front there. Would you say that would have influenced the sale price at all?
The property to the east side?
The property, your comparable sales to the east side.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, many of the occupants are property owners along the strip. They all have that view. I'm under the assumption that Suite 17 and the 2 sales that's applied, they've got exact same views. That's my guess. As I mentioned, I am.
Yeah, there's a lot.
No further questions.
Do you know how many stories that building is that Mr. Oliveira's just questioned, the one across the park? Is it like 10, 12-story building or something? I think I know this. Yeah.
You know what? That one surprised me. I haven't been to the property for a long time.
Okay, that's all my questions. I would say we could say it's 10 stories at least.
Okay.
If nobody disagrees with me. But that's all my questions. So Mr. Oliveira, if you'd like to take us through your information.
Okay. The subject property, Unit 17, 270 Roslyn Road, roll number 12-0326-40600. We're asking the board to reduce the sale price from $290,000 to $256,000. Page 2 of my brief, there's a property description for you. The assessor already went through that. He's accurately described it, so I won't go through that again. On page 3, so we're asking $256,000 just based off of the sale price. I spoke with my client last night. He didn't make me aware of units that they had bought units 7 and 4 there. From what he told me about this sale in particular, he is living on the property with him and his spouse. He said it was a straight market transaction, nothing peculiar, but maybe that wasn't. Maybe the other sales weren't taken into consideration. I'm not too sure if these 2 are being rented. But as far as I know, the subject property itself, it was a straight market transaction. He told me that there was no relationship between himself and the vendor. So again, we're asking the value to be reduced to reflect the sale price of $256,000, and I did verify that on land titles as well.
Good.
And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see if Mr. Strachan has any questions.
Are you aware of what the reference date is for the 2020 assessment?
April 1st of 2018, yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know, I had to think about
No,
that.
The sale.
I thought
The sale, when they purchased the property for $257, what date was that?
July 19th, 2016.
Okay. Did they take into consideration any time adjustments?
I'm still holding my opinion about the condo market right now, that the sale prices are only increasing slightly. I just didn't apply a time adjustment in this sense. Or sorry, for the subject. I'm seeing your comparable sales here. I mean, they could do with the view. I don't know if he's using it as the rental property. I should have speculated more on that, but yeah, my view on the condo market is still the same.
Okay. Were you aware of the sales that that did occur?
I was, yes. I just put most of the weight on the sale price of the subject property itself.
Taking all three of the sales into consideration, which sales are closest to the reference date, April 1st, 2018, for the 2020 assessment roll? Other than the subject properties, comparables I supplied.
It would be your first comparable, December 2017.
I have no other questions.
Thank you. Mr. Tesh, any questions?
In your submission to us, you make reference to the physical condition of the property. Have you been in it? Can you describe the condition to us?
I have not been in the subject property, no.
Any insight into the condition relative to the comparables?
I cannot comment on the condition of it relative to the comparables today, no.
Thank you. No other questions?
Thank you. Mr. Beret?
Is this the original owner that purchased the subject property? The same owner that bought the property in July 2016? It's the same?
Yes, I believe it's the same owner according to the land titles here.
Do you have any idea on what's the assessment roll in 2018?
I do not know.
Okay, no further questions.
And my question was answered, so that will conclude this item number 13. And we will move to item number 14, which is 1800 Wellington Crescent, unit number 18.
Roll number 10003314200, Suite 1800 Wellington Crescent. It's an old tuxedo. Property was built in 1998, two-story, approximately over just under 2,100 square feet, 3 bedrooms. Basement development, couple washrooms, attached multi-size garage. Assessment 636,000. Two of the comparables I supplied. This one as well, limited sales. Narrowed it down. Same structure as 1988. The square footage only comparable number 2 is the exact same area, whereas comparable 2 is a bit bigger, 28 square feet, but much the same features. Washroom count is the difference here. All attached garages are comparables 1 and 2. They sold for $700,000 and $600,000, August 2016, September 2015. Since these are it's kind of like row housing type condominium complex. It's not a whatever a 10-story condominium complex. So what I did was tried to find other comparable sales of other condo units on Wellington Crescent, and their row housing as well, or side-by-side condo units. Majority of the condo complexes along Wellington are the multi-story properties, just like the ones that were mentioned before. There's a lot of 10-story condo complexes. So comparables 3 and 4, sales occurred at 525 Wellington Crescent, They do have, on the riverbank side, they do have the view of the river. Square footage, very similar, 2,078. They only have, all the units in this at 525 Wellington are bungalows. 2 washrooms, washroom counts very similar, basement finish. And they sold for more. I didn't put a time adjusted sale price on it, I just removed those because the sales occurred quite some time ago, April and October 2014. So I'm just showing the actual sale prices that occurred. Both of them being on Wellington Crescent, the attached were side-by-side row. I found it was important to find sales as close as possible. That's why I had to resort to 525. Downfall of that complex is Wellington at that point has a lot of traffic. There's a fast food restaurant very close to it, I believe beside it, 529, something like that. Restaurant, so there is a lot of traffic near this 525 Wellington. But I did use those as comparables, how that would be the most accurate. Just try and find structural properties that are structurally the same as the subject. So I feel that the assessment of $636,000 is, you can say, reasonable value to represent April 1st, 2018. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions?
Just with regards to your comparable number 2, that was an older sale, so no, those wouldn't go on the current sales books for 2018-19. That's a relevant question there. So, with comparable number 2, so it's an older sale. I'm assuming that based off of that, like comparable number 2 is the most comparable to the subject property from what you have here. So it appears that. Would you say that sort of a time adjustment was made to bring it into the 2018 value to make it more like the subject, or sorry, to reflect the value of April 2018? Is that what was done?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, just because comparable number 2, you have it at $296.95 a square foot.
Right.
The subject you have at $308.29. So I'm guessing that the reason why you wouldn't have gone with, I guess, the square footage of comparable number 2, or the sale price per square foot of comparable number 2, is because it was an older sale, so the assessment per square foot would have had to bump up a little bit. Is that correct?
Correct. Due to the comparable number 1, for example, it's closer to the reference date by a few months, well, almost a year.
Yeah.
The sale, comparable number 2, it sold for less. Maybe the market in this complex did go up somewhat, but like I mentioned in the past, I always try to supply a range of sales.
Mm-hmm. No further questions.
Thank you. See if Mr. Pesh has any questions.
I do. I'm trying to understand your page 3. Is that the river? There's this white. I guess I can just ask the question this way: is this subject property near the river?
The large. Oh, this part here.
Yes.
No, it's on the south side of Wellington Crescent.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so...
and beside, on my aerial photo to the right, is the Asper Center.
Okay.
So-
I was having some difficulty with orientation, so
Yeah.
that helps greatly, thank you. So my next question would be around site influences, and if there are any in it. On your last page, I see the subject properties. I don't see comparables 1 and 2 marked. Would you know where those comparables are on your last page? Because I'm having some difficulty with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I apologize for that. The two units 5 and 15 were not marked on the map display. I apologize for that.
It's probably
Yeah, I'm thinking it's 5 units per structure, so I would assume comparable number 1 is in that first strip facing right up Wellington Crescent, and 15 I would assume the third one. So I
2, 3.
could be the subject property 18 is looking directly across over to Suite 15.
Okay.
That's just a guess on my behalf.
Right. So then complement to their view may be of a structure. That's the Asper Center.
Yes, very well could be.
Yeah, and then our subject property may have a view of the field or park or whatever that is.
Yeah, it could very well be, yes. I agree.
I have no other questions at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Murray?
I have no question. Thank you.
I have no questions either. So we'll hear from Mr. Oliveros, please.
So, subject property unit 18, 1800 Wellington Crescent, roll number 10-003314-200. Page 1 of my brief. It's just a summary of my presentation, as per usual. It's currently assessed at $636,000. We're requesting the board to reduce the assessed value down to $551,000. The assessor has already gone through the description of the property. I also have that on page 2 and maps and further maps on page 3. So I took a bit of an unconventional approach towards this. I do realize that. Guess I could have gone to other condominiums to sort of establish a market, but pretty tough to do so. So what I did here was I took some excerpts from the Royal LePage housing market statistics. They are on page 7 to page 7 to 23 of my brief, giving the year-over-year change of the sale prices for standard condominiums. I know what we're dealing with here is sort of a condominium row house. So just based off of these summary statistics, I applied a 3% adjustment to the 29 assessed value, which is $535,000, and brings me to a value of $551,000 for the subject property to bring it in to April 1st, 2018 market value of $551,000. I've also included articles within the reference period on pages 24 to 28 of my brief, just showing the outlook for condominiums during the reference period. That's just sort of for you all to refer to, just see how the, I would say, negative outlook on condominium prices. were during the reference period. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. See if Mr. Strachan has any questions.
The sales I supplied, you feel they're of little importance?
I do, yes.
So sales within the same complex should be taken into consideration?
They should be taken into consideration. I was just trying to establish a value, just with regards to my opinion on the condominium market, so.
Okay. So I didn't go through this in too much detail, these are stats from all over Canada?
These are stats from all over Canada, but I narrowed it down, and sorry, I should mention that these are the condominium price changes for Winnipeg specifically. If we look on page 8, it's really small, but Winnipeg negative 3.9% for Q2 of 2016. That was an increase year over year. So that's how I established this table. These are increases within Winnipeg specifically, not Canada. I just included these just to show where I got the data from.
Okay. I have no other questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bure, any questions?
But the subject property has a renovation recently, or?
None that I'm aware of. I pulled the permits, and there wasn't any significant renovations. Seems to be something going on with this condo complex. I'm not too sure what it is. Yeah, the prices for it are increasing. So
There's a permit that you said that you saw. What it's in regard to that subject property?
Well, no. So I just did a search for permits, and nothing showed up. Nothing. There was no output from the permits webpage of any significant improvements for the subject property.
Okay. Do you know is this the same owner since they bought the place? Is it the same owner?
I would assume so. I wasn't able to find too much of a purchase history in recent years.
So you think that the value of the condos? I know you were saying about the oversupplied condos on different areas, but this is a high-end areas in Winnipeg that it's really stable.
Yeah.
The price of the condo, and you were saying that the price of the condo there did not increase at all.
I made a 3% adjustment. In my mind, it's just difficult to establish the market with two comparable sales. Maybe we can look to other comparable properties. I don't disagree with that method, but direct sales comparison approach, it requires a number of sales in order to establish the market. For these properties, 1800 Wellington Crescent, there's only 2 of them. So if there were more sales during that time, I'd be able to speak to it, but there was just the 2. So.
Do you know the assessment roll in 2018 on this subject property?
I believe it was the same as 2019, and I have that on my brief here, which was $535,000.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. Fish?
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. I'd like to just clarify some of the information you provided to us then. So am I to interpret your page 8 as in Q2 2016 in the Winnipeg area, condo year-over-year prices fell by 3.9%?
Down by 3.9%. So that's from Q2 of 2015 to Q2 of 2016.
Okay. And then I note on your page 10, condominium prices year over year in Winnipeg fell 5%.
Yes.
Is that not for the same period?
Sorry, going back to page 10. Quarter 3 of 2016 from quarter 3 of 2015. So I think that's how they kind of establish, just statistically, how condo prices are moving. So what happens is, depending on the quarter they're on,
yes,
it goes from quarter 3, for example, quarter 3 of 2016 to establish the year-over-year change. They'll take the condo prices quarter 3 of 2015.
Okay. And then on your page 13, we have quarter 4, 2016. Values increased by 0.7.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then on your page 15, values increased in Winnipeg 1.9%.
Correct.
In quarter 1 of 2017.
Yes.
And your page 18,
Okay.
a year over year, values decreased 3.3.
Correct.
And here's where I get a bit confused.
Right.
On your page 21, quarter 3, 2017, values increased 6.1.
Yes.
So, from quarter 2 year over year, a significant decrease, to quarter 3 in the same period, year over year, a 6% increase.
Yeah, that. I asked myself the same question. That seems to be quite an anomaly.
Yeah.
I feel like it was shooting down. It remained stable for a little bit. The market remained stable for quite a bit there, and then it's now, as you can see, there's a downward trend going into quarter 1 of 2018 now. So.
Sorry, how do I see that in Winnipeg?
So if you go to my summary page on page 4.
Okay.
So they were going down, it remained stable for a bit. The sale prices were going down up until quarter 3 of 2017. Of course, quarter 4 16 and quarter 1 17. Slight increases there. But then going forward from quarter 2 2017 to quarter 1 of 2018, back down to 0.5%, which is why I made just a subjective increase from the 2019 assessment, just based off of what I saw here.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. On page 4,
Right.
you're saying the assessment and taxation department has increased the value of the subject property from 535, which is an 18%. Is that 535, is that for the revision adjusted value, or was that original to the roll? You know where that number is?
So I believe that one was original to the roll. Yeah, I had no file. There was no file created in 2018-19 for this. I just had a historical file of what was what the values were in 2019, and that's what I used here.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to ask the assessor that same question. Do you know if that was the 535 was the original value, if that was a board adjustment?
To the best of my knowledge, it was. But, you know, without being back in the office, I would.
Was the original value?
Yeah, it was higher than that. That's why such a big increase. Well, generally, those previous numbers are discarded, and we have to write in a new number. So in our regression model, an 18% increase, wouldn't, isn't in the market. So I'm under the assumption that it was an appeal, a board appeal.
Okay.
May I ask another question?
Yes.
I'm just wondering why you haven't brought any comparables forward.
I was just trying to establish a value. Yeah, everything was. There was only one that I saw in MLS here that was Unit 23. That sold December 10th, 2016, $685,000. I generally try to not go with sales that haven't been on MLS. Guess this is where my experience kind of hit a roadblock here, but with condos, I'm just used to staying within the same complex, and my basic training with direct sales comparison to establish a market value based on one sale that I find in the market. I can't reasonably establish a value just based on one sale with the direct sales comparison, because usually we need quite a few more sales.
That's great. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I have no more questions. Is there anything?
Can I ask one question?
Yes, go ahead.
You mentioned the sale, the other sale. You found one sale in a multiple listing or something?
Yeah, Unit 23.
In the same complex at 1800?
Same complex. I don't mind actually sharing this with you if you wanted to take a look at it, but it'd be after submission. So.
And it sold for how much?
$685,000.
$685,000.
The assessor has no objection. You can hand it out to us. If you
No,
want.
that's obviously the sale. It wasn't generated on my part. It could be submitted in my brief.
If you'd like to show it to us, you're welcome to it.
Yes, just with this, just because it does have private information on it. I know.
Well, why don't you give it to us verbally?
Right.
You're under oath. Tell us what the
Right.
price was and what the date of the sale, please.
The date of the sale was December 10th, 2016, and the sale price was $685,000. The list price $695,000.
And what was the square footage of the unit?
The square footage of the unit was 2,100 square feet.
Is there anything gone unsaid that you would like to say in summation of?
Just, I appreciate the information regarding statisticians from CIC and Royal Page. It's interesting to read. I feel that looking at actual sales that occurred in Winnipeg, I find that a better method of arriving at values. So I request that 636 be maintained.
Thank you. Anything you would like to say for any of the thing that's gone on today that you might have forgotten or unsaid or summation?
No, there is not.
There's not. Okay. Well, that ends your part of the hearing for us, I believe. And you're welcome to take your leave. And we have.
We dealt with item 3.
We'll deal with that now.
Okay, very good.
Before the assessor.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming and for your presentations.
Yes, thank you. Mr.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Okay, item number 3 on the docket is 239 Simcoe Street. Mr. Strachan, do you have any information on, have you spoken with the appellant, or?
I received a call from the appellant was fair tax.
Yes.
Sid Story was the appellant. I received a call from Les Sikowski one day from Sikowski or Sitco, and I guess he was representing Mr. Story. I didn't receive a letter of authorization, but Mr. Sikowski said he was representing the appellant, but in the email I supplied, hopefully I supplied email, that they were accepting the value. We had a discussion.
Okay.
We discussed the property, and didn't seem to be an argument. He said they were going to accept the value.
Perhaps you could read it into the roll, please, the address and numbers, and just go over it.
Roll number 1303 222 4000 239 Simcoe, St. Matthews neighborhood. It's an older house, 1951, just under 1,800 square feet. Variety of options, full basement. There's a commercial property nearby as an influence, and comparable supplied substantially higher. So we were requesting that the assessment of $133,000 be maintained. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your presentation. And that will conclude our hearing for today.